Hi, good morning all, and welcome to Motor Explorers 555. Today we will be servicing my Africa Twin. I had this bike now for about 6 years, and although it's been regularly serviced at a garage for maintenance, for more than anything warranty purposes, we now are in a position just to do it ourselves. It's something that we could have done before. So in terms of the things that you're going to be needing to service the bike, and of course this is just a guidance, anything you do with your bike is your own responsibility. So these are the things that we will need. We have 4 liters of oil, 10W30. We got a brand new filter. It normally comes with 2 brand new washers for the drain plugs, because the Africa Twin has 2 drain plugs. You need a 5mm Allen key to remove the bash plate, and as well as you need a torque wrench, obviously to adjust the torque. You need a 12mm socket to remove the drain plug nuts, and then also you have a filter wrench to remove. This is a 66 by
14.
66 by 14 in terms of size, which will allow you to remove the oil filter. Just to show you a couple of specifics from the manual, and this is for a CRF1000, not the one with the dual clutch. The engine oil needs to be replaced every 12 months, or in this case every 8,000 miles, and the oil filter needs to be replaced every 2 years, or in this case when 24,000 miles or 32,000 miles. And that's it, so we'll get it started. Also, just in terms of what you're going to need, these bikes being the CRF1000A or 82, in this case we're changing the engine oil but also the oil filter, so we're looking at having 4 liters of oil to be replaced in the bike.
And with that said, we're going to get it started.
So to start with, we need to remove the bash plate. In this case, this is the OEM bash plate from Honda, and it's got 3 bolts, 2 here at the base, one there, and that one here, and you remove those with a 5mm. And the third, and then as this goes down, that's it. It's a good opportunity once it's removed to give it a good clean, and check if there's any leaks or any problems after. That's it. So now we need to locate the 2 draining plugs. Okay, so once the bash plate's been removed, we need to proceed to obviously remove and drain the oil. To do that, you just need to make sure that the bike is warm. As I just been riding the bike, it's already warm, but if that wasn't the case, put the bike on, let it run for 3 minutes or so, then switch it off again, and then it should be ready. There is 2 drain plugs on the Africa Twin. One is located here, and the other one is located there. And obviously to remove these ones you need a 12mm socket, so we're gonna just proceed to loosen this up. Okay, so the wrench I was using was a bit small because the bolt was really tight, so we changed to a bigger wrench to be able to loosen up the nut. So that is now done, so I'm gonna just proceed to just gently get to remove this bolt, and I should have the oil starting to, there we go.
So the bolt may run away from you as well.
Normal.
That is normal. If you're gonna play with oil, things can get messy.
Yeah, so we're gonna let that side drain first, so then we can proceed. And
also, did the washer came out?
yeah,
So the washer is on the.
it's actually on the bolt. So then
on the bolt.
There it is, and we will be replacing this. So just make sure when you order the new filter is that actually comes with a new washer.
Okay.
So now that was draining a bit, we'll move the draining pan a little bit to be able to capture the oil for the second draining. Just down there. There we go. So make sure that I position this.
And while we let those drain, we're also going to be looking at tackling the filter. And the filter is located just there.
Just here. I forgot to mention it, but before you drain the oil, always make sure that the oil filler cap is removed. It would allow air and ensure that the oil drains properly. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so just a little bit of air goes in, and then also the oil drains a little bit faster. So now we're going to tackle the filter, and I'm just going to go to the other side to show you.
So we'll now move into removing the filter. For that we got the socket here, and just ensure that your draining pan is just under the filter, so then you got any oil coming down that way. And let's just make sure that the socket is really all the way in firmly, so there's no problem of that moving up. So we're going to try to move it now. There we go. Perfect. Should be okay to do it by hand now.
So if you were changing just the oil, how many liters of oil would it take?
On this model, if it's just the oil, it should be 3.9. But because we're changing the oil filter, then we're going to be adding 4 liters of oil.
Okay. So now I guess we can let it drain for 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
And I would suggest, yeah, maybe cleaning all the surfaces and get our filter ready.
Yeah.
And change the plug, the oil plugs washers as well. So if you encounter difficulty removing the washer from the bolt, sometimes because the washer gets squashed, it sort of gets jammed on the thread. But all you have to do really, so with a pair of pliers, sometimes I undo them like this if they are a bit too hard. If it's not too hard, you'll be able to get it out with your finger. You have to sort of unscrew it, and that will come out. So you can see that washer is a bit squashed and a bit damaged. Not sure it was replaced last year or the previous time it was serviced, because it does look a bit reused, but it doesn't matter. Sometimes you can reuse them. It's not the end of days. And
Well, we got new ones now.
we got 2 new ones now, so we're going to fit the 2 new ones now.
So these are the drain plugs, guys. So I just gave it a bit of a clean, and we got brand new washers. So just when you buy your new filter, make sure that they come with the new washers. So now I'm just going to put them out. You can see the flat side that needs to be facing outwards, so that goes in there like that. And now they are ready to be fitted back. So I'm just going to proceed and move on into getting them back into position. So initially just tighten them by hand. And I got a second one, which goes just there. Perfect. Okay. So just to confirm, the engine oil drain bolts, once we put that back, they need to be tightened to 30 Newton meters, and the oil filter needs to be tightened to 26 Newton meters. Right, so after you clean the surface, just make sure it's nice and clean and smooth in order to be able to put the new filter. Yeah. What you need to do is you can add a little bit of multi-purpose grease around the filter. If you don't have any multi-purpose grease, you can just use the standard oil that you would have for the engine. In this case, we do have some multi-purpose grease. And what we will do, we will just fit initially just by hand. This is just to ensure that we don't damage the thread. So just put it back on. So it should go nice and easy. Tighten it by hand, as we said initially. And then we will use the torque wrench to put that to 26. Okay, so now that we have put the drain plugs just by hand, as well as the filter, I'm now going to proceed to tighten the bolts to 30 Newton meters, which is the specification from the handbook. Yeah, that seems to be... That's it. Perfect. And now we're going to do this side.
Okay.
Yeah, that seems to be done.
That is done. So now we're going to reset our torque wrench to 26 and we can do our filter. Okay.
So the same principle, we make sure that the wrench goes all the way in, and now we're going to proceed to tighten this up.
Yeah.
Hold on a second.
Push it in. Yeah.
There we go.
That's it.
That's 26, and it's all done. Now, after that's happened, we're going to obviously put the bash plate back. Remember, there is that little piece of metal here where the bash plate needs to go in first. That holds that side, and then you lift the bash plate into position and put the 3 bolts that we removed earlier on. You can do that at your own time. One thing I'm going to do now is I'm just going to give everything a really good clean, and I'm going to be using some ASF50 treatment to protect it over the winter, just to prevent any corrosion with the engine. So yeah, that's it for now, and then we'll proceed to put the oil.
So it's time to put some oil in. We're going to use this funnel, which is a little bit difficult to fit because we have the crash bars here. But I'm just going to hold it there, and my brother will get the oil in. He's going to get the oil in, provided he can actually open the oil can.
Everything seems to be breaking.
He's already broken. He's broken the cap. And now he's broken the other sealing cap. Right, so
Resolved.
once you manage to open your oil, we can proceed to...
Should be the easy bit of everything. All right, because of the angle, I'm just going to go very, very gentle. And we're looking at 4 liters.
You may notice that the oil looks red, but the oil that came out didn't quite look red. But it is the correct oil. So, because it's more likely to be like a type of transmission fluid oil.
Okay, so now that we have filled the oil and I have put all the 4 liters on it, obviously we're putting back the oil filler cap on, so that's back on. Now I'm going to proceed to put the bike on for a few minutes and allow it the oil to circulate, maybe a couple of minutes, and then after I will be able to check if there's any leaks underneath before we put the bash plate, and then we will proceed to show you how to check the oil level.
So I think we make sure the oil pressure light goes off as well.
That's right.
And there are no warnings there. No oil leaks. So obviously we want to let it run for a few minutes before we can say there's no oil leaks. By the way, the fluid we use for rinsing oil, it's a solvent. It's brake cleaner, brake and clutch cleaner. It's a fluid that is really good for rinsing oil, and also it sort of evaporates very quickly. It's almost like a type of alcohol. So that's what we've been using for rinsing and cleaning. And yeah, so far so good. Bike's running sweet. And there is a few more, there is actually a few other things we are... Once you're happy that there are no leaks or anything obvious, any large amounts of oil coming out, obviously you can proceed to check the oil level as well, because obviously some of the oil goes into the oil filter housing, well, the actual oil filter, and it stays there, so you can then check your oil level, make sure it's correct.
What we're going to do, guys, we're going to check the oil level. Okay, so to check the oil level, once you have put the 4 liters of oil to the bike, we have put the bike on for about 3 to 4 minutes, let it run, and then the instructions on the manual are to switch off the bike, put the bike on a side stand for about 3 minutes, and then put the back upright like we're doing now on a level surface, and then we check then we need to check the dipstick. Are you holding it? You okay?
Yeah.
Right. So now I'm going to proceed to remove the dipstick. we're going to give it a clean. And now we put the stick back on.
Can we see the minimum and maximum marks?
Yeah, so the minimum is right here at the bottom, down there, and that's the maximum, so the one in the middle. Yeah, that's the max, that's the min. So we put it back on. And when we put the stick, we just let it sit. We don't actually screw it back in, we just let it sit there. And now we're gonna remove it and check where the oil level is. Yeah, so it needs to be between the minimum and the maximum, and at the moment it's showing me right where in the middle.
Okay, so that's what the manual says. Make sure the oil is between the min and the max, and that's pretty much where it is at the moment.
Yeah, and I have put 4 liters of oil, so I will be checking again a little bit later on, but yeah, it's showing me right in between the two. Yeah, just about the
possibly middle. A little bit higher than the middle.
Yeah, a little bit higher than the middle.
But don't forget that this type of oil, which is like a transmission fluid, it expands with heat. So the hotter the bike is, probably that fluid will read higher. Which is why maybe they recommend just running it for 3 to 5 minutes when checking, because if you run it for too long, maybe it would read too high. And here's the manual for your reference, by the way. You can have a look at that. Here's the dipstick, upper level, lower level, dipstick, and follow the instructions. So you can't go wrong. So as far as changing the oil and the filter on this Africa Twin, it's a fairly simple job, fairly straightforward, but you do have to have obviously certain tools, like the tool for the socket for the oil filter, and perhaps if you do want to be a bit more perfectionist, you want a torque wrench. A lot of people, I'm sure, don't really use a torque wrench as such, but it is worth having one, and then you tighten those things properly. Now my brother's just doing something else, but cleaning that mess a little bit from doing some off-roading. But on our next video, we are gonna be tackling the brake fluid. So we are looking to change the brake fluid today on this bike. So I guess we're gonna try to make another video on that. And as far as this one is, we can say it's all done now.
Yeah, we'll test it again a bit later on, but yeah, it seems to be all right.
Okay, so thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next video. So thank you for watching.
Thank you.